Welcome back. You're watching KTN Newsdesk. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now talk about a topic that many people rarely talk about, and we will give you reasons why this is important to have this talk. Tuberculosis. So March the 24th was the World Tuberculosis Day, which was designed to build public awareness that Tuberculosis Day remains an epidemic in much of the world, causing the deaths of nearly 1.5 million people each year, mostly in developing countries. We will also be looking at TB survey findings in studio with Dr. Enos Masini, who are joining me now. He is the head of the National TB and Leprosy and Lung Disease Program. Thank you very much for coming in. We also have Evelyn Kibuchi, who is the Chief National Coordinator, the Stop TB Partnership in Kenya. Thank you so much for coming in. And this year, while marking this day, we had a lot of exciting revelations. I could say exciting, I could say it's a milestone. But let's just start with what we are focusing in this year as we marked the World TB Day. I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. World TB Day this year, it was an exciting day because we released the outcome of the TB prevalence survey that has been conducted for the past 2 years,
Yes.
which has exciting, I would say, outcomes
Yes.
that tell us that we have actually more TB cases than we had previously anticipated.
What exactly? Let's just take us through the bits of the survey that you think are very important and we should rely on going forward as a country.
Thank you very much. TB is a disease of great importance to this country. One, it's the 4th largest cause of death in this country.
Yeah.
Then secondly, in 2015, over 80,000 Kenyans fell sick and were treated for tuberculosis in Kenya. So we conducted the survey to be able to find out the actual burden of the disease. Though we are treating people, we still suspect that there are thousands others who are in the community who remain untreated or undiagnosed and treated and contribute to the spread of the disease. So we sought out by going out to the community and doing screening of close to 63,000 Kenyans and to find out what is the exact burden for tuberculosis in this country. And the results showed that close to 40% of the people who fall sick for tuberculosis every year are not detected, nor are they put on treatment. So for example, in 2015, we treated 82,000 people.
Yeah.
But it was estimated that 138, close to 140,000 Kenyans actually fell sick to tuberculosis.
Yes.
The importance of these people who are not detected and treated, otherwise called missing TB cases, is that they contribute to the spread of disease. They spread it to their children, to their loved ones, the people they interact with at work, at school, in public transport system. And the key to ending the disease is about finding the people who are missing or have not been detected and put on treatment.
Yes. And there's a huge chunk of them, 40%.
40%.
The results of this particular survey, where does this place the fight against TB in this country?
Where it places is it's actually in the right spot. We are no longer now groping in the dark. One, we know what the exact burden is. We will not now use the estimate that were previously provided by the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
But secondly, we know who are the people who are most affected. We know that young men aged between 25 and 44 years are not only more affected by the disease, but they are also likely to be missed by the healthcare system. So we can have specific programming and specific measures within the community, within the healthcare system to reach out to young men. Two, we know that people in urban areas, and urban areas in this country, like for example in Nairobi, 60% of the people in urban areas are from low-income settlements. So we need to have special outreaches and special programs, both in the community and within the healthcare system, to reach out to people in poor urban settlements.
Yes.
But also from this survey, we know that we need to use certain tools for testing that we've not been using before. We've been mostly using the microscope. But now there are newer tools called the GeneXpert, a better test, which we need to increase access to. We need to put the chest X-ray and available and accessible to the people.
Yeah.
But we also need to increase health communication like we are doing now, so that people are aware that they have symptoms of the disease and they need to go to their nearest health provider to be tested. The survey found that close to over 60% of the people who have symptoms of the disease, they have coughed for more than 2 weeks, they have night sweats, they have hotness of the body, have not gone to their health provider to seek treatment. So there must be a way that we must formulate to reach out for them.
Yeah.
But also importantly, we need to work with all the partners, the civil society, former TB patients, the private sector, to be able to get everyone who has tuberculosis.
All right,
and put them on treatment.
let's just rope Evelyn into the conversation. He's mentioned something very important about 60% have the symptoms, but they don't go to get themselves tested. Are we now going back to focus on the awareness campaigns of TB?
Yeah, what that means is that we have so many people walking in the streets with the TB disease. Some of them are not aware that they're actually having the disease. Some are aware, but they have not sought treatment. So what that means is that we have to expand the programs for creating awareness for TB across the entire population in the country. We need to loop in every other sector that has a responsibility in bringing the cases of TB down. For example, we need to bring in the Ministry of Education, because the schools could be harboring quite a big fraction of the TB cases that are not yet detected, like I said. We need to look in the Ministry of Transport. We are likely to get so many people again there who have the TB disease, but they've not sought treatment. And like he said, the highest population of the people who are affected are actually men. So we need to create more awareness in areas where we are likely to find men. For example, the sports arena, we're likely to find men there. The transport industry. Let's look at areas where we're likely to get more men. We also need to put in more effort in funding, because when you have realized that you have about 40% of the cases not detected, then we need to double the investments in TB. And therefore, to be my call to the government that this is a high time that we need to increase the funding to the TB program. This is a high time we need to call on the donors to increase their funding if you have to bring these cases down. And you're working towards a target. World Health Organization 2015 came up with a new target of working towards ending TB globally. And Kenya adopted that target of actually wanting to end TB by 2030. And so if we have to achieve that target, then it means more investment. And the private sector, there's so much they can do. For example, if you look at the telecommunication sector, they can do a lot in creating awareness through maybe the text messages
Given that almost everyone has a phone nowadays.
Exactly, yeah. So if you look at the Ministry of Agriculture, he has talked about nutrition. We need to provide nutrition to those who are already sick so that they can get treated faster. So everybody has a role to play in TB, in bringing TB cases down.
So what are we saying? Before then, before now, and before this survey, we were working in isolation. Not every other ministry that was important to this cause was involved?
Yes, I must first appreciate the government's effort, because before the survey, they have really put a lot, the government has really put a lot in ensuring that we have the right infrastructure. We have the health centers, we have the treatment provided for free by the government. We have the diagnostics, though we still have a gap. But we must admit that so many other sectors had not been looked in, because we actually did not know that this is there. It was the size of the burden. But now that we know what we are dealing with, we know the magnitude. And we have done an analysis, like the Stop TB Partnership, and realized that there's so much that the private sector, for example, can do. Then we are calling out for increased engagement for all the sectors, including the civil society, the private sector, and even the government increasing their funding.
Yes. Masini, Dr. Masini, the focus this year as well is on stigma, and we're also going back to the areas that have seen to be marginalized or sidelined in the country. With this percentage of people who have the symptoms, they are aware that they might actually be harboring TB, but they don't go for a screening. Apart from stigma, what would you peg on this percentage of people who are aware that they are sick, but they won't just go?
In the survey, we asked some of
Yeah.
the reasons why they don't go for treatment, and majority of them say this, they thought the symptoms were not serious enough to warrant seeking care. But I agree with you that stigma would play a key role in providing that, in being a barrier to access to treatment. And we need to work on stigma reduction program. We need to work with former TB patients. We need to work with civil society to be able to reduce stigma that's providing a barrier to access. But look at it this way. For a long time, there's been a very close association between HIV and tuberculosis.
Yes.
10 years ago, close to 70% of the people who fell sick for tuberculosis in this country had underlying HIV infection. But in investments that have been done by the Ministry of Health and partners in HIV care, increasing the number of people who are put on antiretroviral drugs, the drugs for HIV, has ensured that from the survey is only 15%, about 15% of all the people who have found the disease are HIV co-infected. So that message can also help to work and to show first interventions in HIV control have worked well, and that we need to look for TB amongst people who previously probably were not thought to be at risk of disease. But also to add on the point that she raised about involving several stakeholders, and in which you asked why has it been just a medical intervention? And that's the argument that is going on globally, and it's gaining currency. And it's one of the recommendations that has been in the survey, that control of tuberculosis will have to look at many other factors just beyond the health interventions. We have to look at all these other sectors that deal with poverty reduction, that will deal with improved housing. So generally, improved economic well-being has a knock-on effect in reducing tuberculosis. And that's why I would laud the ongoing government efforts to reduce poverty, to improve housing. All that will eventually contribute and assist the health sector to reduce the levels of TB.
Do you think we're on the right track?
Yes, with the new survey results, we know where the disease is, which people are affected. We know which tools or which arsenal to use to fight the disease. We know which strategies to apply. In my view, that we will still be on course to achieve the global targets of 2035 of ending tuberculosis.
Yes.
So it's still within reach, but we have to apply those measures that were indicated in the survey. The good thing is that when we were disseminating these results, and in the Cabinet Secretary for Health in his speech actually outlined the measures the Ministry of Health will put in place to be able to ensure that we are on target in achieving the aims we need for ending tuberculosis.
But of course, even as we talk about the strategies that you're now putting in place thanks to this survey, I'm sure there are some challenges that are still dogging this fight against TB. What are they?
I think the biggest challenge that we have is the general lack of awareness that you have all these symptoms, you have this cough, you have this night sweat, but probably you don't know that you could be suffering from TB.
Yeah.
So you take so long from seeking, before you seek treatment. That means that before you seek treatment, you have infected maybe 1 or 2 people. And the longer you wait, there's a likelihood that you can die from the disease. So lack of awareness is a big challenge. Of course, the other one is stigma, because of the close association between TB and HIV. So people are afraid that once they go to hospital, they're going to be diagnosed that they have HIV. But the good message is, like you say, the highest percentage of the people who were found with TB did not have HIV. Yeah. And the second hope is, even if you have both infections, TB is treatable, and HIV, with treatment, you can live with it. And the last challenge is that one of funding. The National TB Program has been operating with a huge funding gap. And I think with the new finding, then I think we now have confidence and we know what we are dealing with. Even when we are telling the government, we need more funding. We know exactly how much we need more to address the current gaps in TB.
All right. Finally, final comments. What do we expect going forward now, say this year or the next year before the next World TB Day? What do we expect to see? Some of the interventions.
So basically all of us have a role to play. For the public, we need, if we have any of the symptoms related to TB, you've coughed for more than 1 week, you're sweating a lot at night, hotness of the body, go to your nearest health provider to be tested and screened for tuberculosis. For the Ministry of Health, we'll ensure that there's availability of the test kits and the treatment that's required at no cost, as has always been.
Yeah.
For the partners that we work with, we need to work together to ensure increased access to these interventions, drugs, testing for TB. For the civil society and the TB patients, we also have a key role to play in increasing public health awareness, in conducting community-level activities. A big focus should be on community-level activities to be able to bring out the people who have the symptoms to come for testing at the health facility.
So this time it's going to be a holistic exercise. Everyone is involved.
I totally agree. And then, of course, as we've discussed, looking at the other factors that contribute to tuberculosis, poverty reduction, improved in housing. So as the standard of living improves, then also we will be able to reduce the burden of tuberculosis.
All right,
so,
thank you.
So it's all of us in
Yes.
it.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Enos Masini, Head of National TB Leprosy and Lung Disease Program, as well as Evelyn Kibuchi, Chief National Coordinator of the Stop TB Partnership here in the country. Thank you so much for coming in. Very informative session. This one has been. Get yourself tested, get yourself screened. It will save a life. All right, let's now go back to politics. Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua's Maendeleo Chap Chap party is holding a convention for all its aspirants at Kasarani Stadium here in Nairobi. The meeting is set to discuss nominations and party structures and comes as a new outfit continues to look for ways to harvest defectors from bigger parties. The agenda of the meeting will include laying strategies to develop strong and transparent party structures. It is a convention that is coming just days after Mutua wound up his 3-day popularization tour of Western Kenya, where he met aspirants and supporters in Busia, Vihiga, Kakamega and Bungoma counties. Let's now speak to our reporter Mark Namaswa, who is currently joining us live from the Kasarani Stadium. Thank you very much for joining us, Mark. Maendeleo Chap Chap has been receiving a good number of defectors in the last couple of weeks. What do we expect to hear from Alfred Mutua and his team this afternoon?
Akisa, Alfred Mutua has already spoken about the intentions of the party. He has spoken about how Maendeleo Chap Chap is growing. He has spoken about how Maendeleo Chap Chap is the party of choice, even as Kenyans look forward to having a party that is development focused, and not just development focused, but a party that does development in speedy time. Now, we have been able to listen to part of the strategies that the party is going to employ, even as we go forward towards the nomination process. Now, the party is quickly branding itself as a party of choice, given that there's stiff competition in major parties. Not only stiff competition, but we also have instances of people allegedly owning certain parties, and people who are looking for fairness, politicians who are looking for fairness, who are looking for alternative leadership, are looking towards Maendeleo Chap Chap party. And the party, I can say, is rebranding itself not only as a party that was restricted in the Machakos Ukambani region, but as a party that is developing inroads into other regions, especially the Mount Kenya region. And at the moment, I've been able to get a hold of Senator Lenny Kivuti to tell us concerning the reception of the Maendeleo Chap Chap in his area. Welcome, Senator. Now, tell us, what do people say about Maendeleo Chap Chap in your area?
One thing, it's a tsunami. In Embu County, it's like what they've been waiting for. Reasons being, people in Embu, actually, they don't look more about parties, they look more on personalities. They look at the way we came up with Maendeleo Chap Chap. And Governor Mutua has created a niche for himself about quick development. And the people of Embu, they like quick development. They look at me as a development conscious leader. And because of that, when we say Maendeleo Chap Chap, it catches like bushfire.
Someone would like to know about the party itself. In your area, basically the Mount Kenya region is perceived to be a Jubilee area. What are your chances of making it back if you are not on Jubilee and you are now on Chap Chap? Tell us.
I think you are wrong. In our place, the question of party is supplemental. The main issue that people look at is transformative leadership. I can tell you, I was not in a government party all the times I've won, and I've won 3 times. So this is the 3rd time and I'm winning anyway. What people look at is what is it we need from this leader. Of course, it's a plus if the leader is in the government party, because we like President Uhuru Kenyatta and we are going to vote him. Even when we are in Jubilee, in Maendeleo Chap Chap, we are still going to vote Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta because of his leadership qualities, not because he has a party called A or B. If you remember, even last time, Uhuru made his party within 5 months and he got elected. So even now, it's not the name of the party that matters. What matters is who is with that party. What can we get from that individual? Then the people follow.
Thank you very much for your time. We have a gentleman here. Kindly tell us about Maendeleo Chap Chap. Why are you in the party?
Just as my brother, Honorable Rene Kivuti, has put it, I am his running mate. And we subscribe wholly to the ideologies of Maendeleo Chap Chap. Speed development and fairness. And there are not ways we believe we are winning, and there are not ways we are winning.
Thank you very much for your time. Now, the Maendeleo Chap Chap National Convention is still ongoing, where Governor Mutua is currently meeting other aspirants inside the Kasarani Gymnasium. Back to you.
Mark Namaswa, thank you very much for that. Of course, he continues to attend that particular meeting, and we will get more details about what transpires during that particular meeting with Maendeleo Chap Chap members and aspirants. Now, Africa's recent economic growth rates and rising youth population have meant more and more entrepreneurs are looking there for potential business opportunities. The typical strategy is to introduce new companies by recreating foreign business models on the continent. But for Ecommerce, startups is not that easy. An Asian-based e-commerce company that also has businesses within Africa, however, believes that for such a company to succeed, customers need to feel their presence through exhibitions, a method that also gets to expand their opportunities for new partners and customers.
African economies easily rank among the most resilient in the world and are thus gaining popularity with investors worldwide. E-commerce companies have not been left behind also, as they believe that Africa is a hub of all things related to business growth.
There's so much potential in Africa. There's so many things we can do in this industry in Africa, especially with the e-commerce industry growing in Africa really aggressively. I mean, QNet is a perfect platform that people can benefit from and have good products.
It is for this reason that QNet, a Hong Kong-based e-commerce and network marketing company, held an expo in Nairobi this weekend to showcase their products. The company operates in more than 100 countries, with their main markets being in Middle East, Central Asia, North and West Africa. But what makes the company stand out from the rest of the e-commerce platforms available?
Our products are very exclusive to QNet. We own our own factories, we own our own companies as well. We try to find products that are unique and have these unique selling points that are out there as well.
The company has more than 5 million distributors and customers around the world. This has played a huge role in creating employment for many young people.
With QNet, you have that entrepreneurial opportunity. You have an opportunity where people can actually start something through network marketing, through direct selling, and just simply promoting products, using the word of mouth, the power of just mixing with different people and socializing.
Despite the benefits arising from running a company like this, there's still challenges mirrored, as for some time, the company has been clouded with allegations of fraud in Rwanda, India, and other Asian countries.
This has exposed many people who have doubted us. We have tried to market it to people, but a lot of people have never understood how they can be empowered through the e-commerce platform. In our company, we have an e-learning, and we can say masomo mkononi. So basically, you're in traffic, download our app where e-learning is concerned. Don't complain about traffic. Study as you wait.
Despite the rigidness in society in understanding exactly how e-commerce works, as well as getting to enjoy the benefits of its products, such as e-learning, Kenya is indeed at the forefront of getting the African economy onto the global stage. Raquel Muigai, KTN Business.
All right, we wrap it up on that note. Many thanks for joining us here on KTN Newsdesk. Up next, let's take a look at the top stories on Newsdesk. Our sign language interpreter has been William Silla, and I am Akisa Wandera. Good afternoon. I leave you with Business Today.